Yeah, I'll keep this pretty quick. It wasn't really that well prepared, but just for those that are interested in how I did put this together, because I had a few questions. To start with, it's all like just CSS transforms. There's no canvas or actually advanced 3D stuff here. I guess my goal when I started out this site was to have something that was responsive and also 3D, and that proved to be like the trickiest part. So just in terms of how I actually did like the main cube, that was actually possible with, I did Flexbox with the actual it's basically if you imagine each side all next to each other, and then I just absolutely position them on top of each other, put them all around, but that way like it was always as long as the longest bit of content. And it's also a statically generated React site. So it's all static. If you just render it straight with HTML, it's fine. But then it will work. It'll take over in the browser as well, and that's why the routes work, and it's all using React Router. The biggest, probably painful thing that I had was there we go. Oh. So the actual top world section is, all of those are made up of, each piece is like an individual block, which is a React component, just called block, and I pass in an array for the position and an array for the size. And then what I'm actually doing in the code side of things is, I actually don't remember how I did this, but you know, that's how it usually works. I'm doing something with like the array, getting it all and actually turning it into like styles, like inline styles, basically, just for the positioning part. The trickiest thing with doing the percentage based, because I had to make everything percentage based, so the trickiest thing there was Z-index doesn't like percentages, which is sort of obvious when you start to get into like 3D and CSS, like 3D CSS. So the way I had to do any Z-index percentage-based positioning and sizing was actually to rotate X and then translate Y and then rotate X back again. So that's one of the reasons why the Z there had needed a different thing. You couldn't just do percentage-based rotate Z, you had to do it on the other axes. And I had some... Oh yeah, if I open... If you use Firefox, you might have noticed it looks a little bit different. So Firefox does some interesting things with like 3D Z-index. When you have like a whole heap of like things, it kind of, some reason, goes off like actual CSS Z-index rather than the 3D Z-index. So that's why I ended up removing some parts of the components in Firefox to actually get it to render. So it's missing the trees in the back there, and actually it's still a bit broken, but it was enough to get it to semi-work. That's not the right thing. What are my other notes? And yeah, so if I did it again, probably the biggest thing with the top world is I would still do the whole beam and flexbox and doing percentage based to get it all to work like that, because I don't think there's any other way to do it. Because when I get it down to there, but if you notice, when you go to smaller sizes, things look a bit off in terms of lining up, like the fire looks a bit awkward, because it's so exponential in terms of the transforms. They end up being like 10,000% for like some things, so actually just using absolute values for the top world would be easier, and then using scale to transform it depending on the window size. But that's Probably the main thing, yeah. And I used Gatsby for the static rendering just because it was a lot simpler. I had a lot of things already in place, but you could do it without it, obviously. Does anyone have any pending questions that I could answer about it? So what's Gatsby? Yeah. Someone answer that for you? Alright. But yeah, feel free to ask me afterwards. But yeah, it's all CSS mostly, and React Router, React, and that sort of thing. Cool. Thank you.